So, get this.
Okay.
We're diving into a case where, after brutally murdering an entire family, the killer just hung out at the crime scene for days.
Yeah.
We're talking the Hinterkaifeck murders.
Yeah.
A 1922 shilling case from Bavaria, Germany, that's captivated true crime enthusiasts for over a century?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
a wild one.
Yeah.
What's so fascinating to me about this case is the psychological aspect of it.
Right.
It's not just about who committed the crime, but why they remained at the scene. Was it to throw off investigators? Or did the killer have another more sinister motive?
Well, we've got excerpts from an article for this deep dive, and you were going to want to hear this.
Okay.
6 people,
Yeah.
an elderly couple,
Right.
their daughter, her 2 children,
Why?
and their maid were found bludgeoned to death on their secluded farmstead.
Oh, my God.
The murder weapon.
Jeez.
A tool you'd usually associate with farm work. Not a horrific crime.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's this wasn't a bustling town or anything.
No.
We're talking 70 kilometers north of Munich.
Yeah.
A farm tucked away between 2 towns.
Right.
Adding another layer of complexity to the investigation.
Yeah, so let's back up and set the stage.
Okay.
Imagine you're Andreas Gruber,
Uh-huh.
the family patriarch.
Right.
Months before the murders, you start noticing strange things.
Wow.
Footsteps in the attic, a newspaper you've never seen before just
Whoa.
lying around,
Wow.
footprints leading to the farm but not away.
Oh, creepy. Talk about unsettling.
Those details immediately raise questions.
Yeah.
Why didn't Andreas report these incidents to the police?
Right.
Was he trying to protect his family? Or did he have reason to believe the threat wasn't serious?
Yeah.
Or maybe he knew more than he let on.
All right, so now it's April 4th, 1922.
Okay.
Little Cecilia, one of the victims,
Right.
doesn't show up for school.
Oh.
And the family is a no-show at church.
Neighbors, obviously concerned,
Of course.
head over to the farm and find, well, the unimaginable.
What they discovered was pure horror.
Yeah.
4 bodies. Andreas, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria,
Right.
and 7-year-old Cecilia were found brutally murdered in the barn.
Jeez.
Inside the house, they found Victoria's 2-year-old son, Joseph,
Oh my gosh.
and the maid, Maria Baumgartner, who had only started working there the day before.
Talk about wrong place, wrong time.
Wow.
The brutality of the attack and that the killer used a mattock suggests this wasn't some random act by a stranger.
Right.
There's a level of rage here.
Yeah.
A personal connection that's chilling.
And the plot thickens when you consider there was no sign of forced entry.
Yay.
So either the family knew their attacker,
Yeah.
or we're dealing with someone incredibly skilled at breaking and entering without a trace.
But here's where it gets really strange.
Okay.
Evidence suggests the killer didn't just flee the scene.
Oh.
They stuck around for days.
Really?
Tending to the animals,
Oh, my goodness.
cooking meals,
Oh. Whoa.
even lighting fires.
The level of premeditation here is staggering.
It's crazy.
It almost suggests the killer wanted to maintain a semblance of normalcy at the farm,
Right.
even after committing such a heinous act.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I'm honestly baffled.
Yeah.
Was it a way to buy time to throw off investigators? Or was it something more?
Right.
Like they were savoring the aftermath,
Yeah.
almost playing house with their victims' lives.
That chilling possibility has led to many theories.
Right.
Some believe the killer may have been searching for something. Hidden money, important documents, something that would make the risk worthwhile.
Ooh, a secret family fortune.
Exactly.
Now we're getting into some real intrigue.
Well, let's talk about the prime suspects.
Okay.
One name that always comes up is Lorenz Schlittenbauer.
Okay.
He was Victoria's lover. And according to rumors circulating at the time,
Right.
possibly Joseph's father,
A love triangle. Yeah.
a possible illegitimate child,
Oh, wow.
that's definitely adding fuel to the fire.
Think about the potential motives here.
Yeah,
Was there a paternity dispute?
right.
Was Schlittenbauer trying to hide his involvement with Victoria?
Yeah.
Or was it a crime of passion stemming from jealousy or a desire to control Victoria?
He certainly fits the bill for someone with a personal connection to the victims.
Right.
But wouldn't a lover try to cover up the murders, maybe even stage them to look like something else? Why draw attention by staying at the farm?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It goes against the usual logic of a crime of passion.
Right.
Unless, of course, there was something else he needed to find at the farm.
Like that hidden treasure we were talking about earlier. Okay, now I'm really hooked. Who else were investigators considering?
Another theory involves the Feller brothers,
Okay.
2 known petty thieves in the area.
Right.
But many experts believe the sheer brutality of the Hinterkaifeck murders.
Doesn't align with their usual MO.
Right.
Petty theft versus cold-blooded murder.
Yeah.
There's a huge lead.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to fit.
Right.
The Feller brothers may have been opportunists,
Mm-hmm.
but this feels personal, almost ritualistic.
And let's not forget about the possibility of a random drifter
Yeah.
or a soldier passing through the area.
Right.
A crime of opportunity, essentially.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they be more likely to take valuables and leave?
You would think.
Not linger for days.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But again, we're dealing with a lot of unknowns in this case.
Right.
The lack of a clear motive is what makes it so baffling and so endlessly fascinating.
We've laid out the scene, the victims, and even touched on some early suspects.
Right.
But we're just scratching the surface of this tangled web of clues.
Mm-hmm.
What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to say at this point.
Yeah.
Each possibility has its own set of contradictions.
Right.
But one thing is certain. This case is far from over.
Right.
And before we dive deeper,
Yeah.
we need to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
The killer's decision to remain at the farm.
Right.
What evidence points to this?
Right.
And what could it possibly tell us about their state of mind?
All right. So we've established the killer stayed at the farm.
Right.
But what's the proof?
Well,
What makes investigators so sure?
several chilling details point to this unsettling fact.
Okay.
For one, neighbors noticed smoke
Okay.
coming from the chimney
Right.
in the days following the murders.
Uh-huh.
This wasn't just a fire left smoldering.
Right.
Someone was actively tending to it.
Okay. That's creepy.
Exactly.
Someone was essentially playing house while surrounded by their victim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gets even weirder.
Okay.
The family's neighbors reported seeing someone moving around the farm, even claiming to have glimpsed a figure in the window.
Hang on. Witnesses actually saw someone?
Right.
Why weren't they considered suspects?
Remember, this was a rural community in the 1920s.
Right.
People were used to keeping to themselves,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't uncommon to see someone tending to chores on a farm,
Right.
even if the family wasn't around.
Okay.
It's a tragic case of a community dismissing seemingly ordinary activities
Yeah.
in the face of an extraordinary crime.
Wow. That's a point I hadn't considered.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how even the smallest details can be crucial in an investigation.
Uh-huh.
What other evidence supports the killer's prolonged stay?
The animals were well cared for. Someone had been feeding them, mucking out their skulls,
Right.
generally keeping things in order.
So not only was the killer lighting fires and making themselves at home,
Right.
they were also acting like everything was normal by doing chores.
Yes.
It's almost as if they wanted to create the illusion that nothing was wrong.
And there's one more piece of evidence that's particularly unsettling.
Okay.
Food had been eaten from the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
The table was even set for a meal. It's as if the killer sat down and had dinner, as if they were part of the family.
Okay, that is just messed up.
Right.
What kind of a mind does that?
Yeah.
To commit such a horrific act and then act like nothing happened?
It's a question that has haunted investigators for generations.
Yeah.
It suggests a level of detachment, almost a complete lack of empathy.
Right.
That's difficult to comprehend.
You mentioned earlier that even modern forensic techniques couldn't crack the case when it was reviewed in 2007.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In 2007, German police re-examined the case,
Uh-huh.
hoping that advancements in DNA analysis
Right.
might yield new clues.
Yeah.
They even exhumed the bodies of the victims.
Wow.
But unfortunately, the DNA evidence was inconclusive.
So even with all our technological advancements,
Right.
some mysteries remain unsolved.
It's a reminder that sometimes the passage of time works against us.
Right.
Physical evidence deteriorates, witnesses die,
Yeah.
and memories fade.
Yeah. Speaking of witnesses, let's talk about the Gruber family themselves.
Okay.
Were they well liked in the community?
From what we can gather, the Grubers were a somewhat private family.
Okay.
Andreas was known to be a bit gruff,
Mm-hmm.
and there were whispers of family tensions,
Mm-hmm.
especially between Andreas and his daughter Victoria.
Oh, so maybe there was more to the story than just a loving family dynamic.
Remember, we're dealing with speculation here,
Right.
but those tensions add another layer of complexity to the case.
Sure.
Was there something going on within the family that might have contributed to the murders?
A family feud gone wrong?
Yeah.
That's a common theme in true crime.
Right.
But it would certainly explain the personal nature of the attack.
Uh-huh.
What about Victoria's relationship with Lorenz Schlittenbauer?
Right.
Did that cause any issues within the family?
Andreas reportedly disapproved of their relationship, and there were even rumors that he suspected Schlittenbauer was the father of Victoria's son, Joseph.
Okay.
If those rumors are true.
Yeah.
It paints a picture of a family on the verge of implosion.
So we've got possible family tensions, a scandalous love affair,
Yeah.
and whispers of illegitimacy, all happening in a small, isolated community where secrets are hard to keep.
Right.
It sounds like the perfect recipe for disaster.
And let's not forget those strange occurrences leading up to the murders.
Oh, right.
The footsteps, the newspaper, the footprints in the snow.
Right.
Could those have been attempts to intimidate the family?
Yeah.
Or even warnings from someone trying to protect them?
I'm leaning towards intimidation.
Oh.
It's like someone was trying to instill fear to make them feel vulnerable in their own home.
Right.
It's almost psychological warfare.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
It speaks to the killer's possible motive.
Right.
Were they simply trying to eliminate the family?
Yeah.
Or was there a more twisted objective at play?
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's get into those other theories.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about a hidden treasure earlier. Walk me through that one.
Imagine this. The killer wasn't motivated by rage or revenge,
Right.
but by greed.
Hmm.
They believed the Grubers were hiding something valuable.
Okay.
A stash of cash, family heirlooms, or even something more sinister.
So they weren't just there to commit murder.
Right.
They were on a mission to find something.
Right.
But wouldn't they want to get in and out as quickly as possible?
Possibly.
Why draw attention by hanging around?
Perhaps the item they were searching for wasn't easily found.
Right.
Maybe it was hidden and they needed time to search the property thoroughly.
Okay.
Or perhaps they wanted to create the illusion of normalcy, hoping to buy themselves more time before anyone suspected foul play.
Clever, but risky.
Right.
It hinges on the belief that no one would notice anything unusual for days. What other theories are out there?
Well, we can't talk about Hinterkaifeck without mentioning the paranormal theories.
Okay, let's get spooky.
Right.
What's the supernatural angle here?
Some people believe the farm was haunted,
Okay.
pointing to those pre-murder incidents as evidence.
Yeah.
They claim the murders weren't committed by a person at all, but by some malevolent force.
I have to admit, the idea of a haunting is intriguing,
Yeah.
especially considering those unexplained events.
Right.
But wouldn't a ghost just want to scare people, not brutally murder them?
That's where the theories get murky.
Okay.
Some suggest the spirits might have influenced a living person to commit the murders, acting as a sort of puppet master.
So we're talking demonic possession or some kind of supernatural coercion.
Exactly.
That's taking things to a whole new level.
It's a theory that's hard to prove,
Right.
but it certainly adds a layer of creepiness to an already chilling case.
Okay, one last theory before we wrap up this part. You
Okay.
mentioned a cover-up earlier.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Well, some believe the killer had connections to powerful people or organizations.
Right.
These connections might have allowed them to escape justice.
Right. Or even to orchestrate the entire thing.
Ooh, a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Who would be powerful enough to cover up something as horrific as this?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
We're talking about a time of great political and social upheaval in Germany.
Right.
Could the killer have been involved in something that those in power wanted to keep quiet?
So the murders were a way to silence the family,
Possibly.
or perhaps to send a message to others. Now that's chilling.
It's a theory that's hard to prove,
Right.
but it certainly adds a layer of intrigue.
Right.
And it raises questions about who might have benefited from the Gruber's deaths.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Hidden treasure, paranormal activity, a possible cover-up.
Right?
It's amazing how this case continues to spark so many different theories,
Yeah.
even after all these years.
It's a testament to the enduring power of mystery.
Right.
We crave explanations.
Yeah.
Especially when confronted with the senselessness of violence.
But sometimes the truth is more elusive than we'd like to believe.
All right, so we've examined the theories,
Yeah.
and we've seen how even modern forensics couldn't definitively answer all the questions.
Right.
But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I have to know, what are your thoughts on the killer's mental state?
Yeah.
It's one thing to commit a crime of passion, in a moment of rage.
Yeah.
But to stay at the scene,
Right.
to meticulously maintain the farm,
Yeah.
that suggests a whole other level of disturbing.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's a level of psychological complexity that's both fascinating and unsettling.
Right.
We have to consider the possibility of psychopathy,
Okay.
a personality disorder characterized by a lack of empathy and remorse,
Right.
often coupled with manipulative and antisocial behavior.
So the killer could have been completely devoid of guilt or remorse,
Yeah.
seeing the family simply as obstacles in their path.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Psychopaths can be incredibly charming and manipulative,
Right.
able to blend in and appear normal,
Yeah.
even while harboring dark intentions.
Which would make sense if the killer was someone the family knew. They could have easily gained their trust and then,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It also explains the meticulous nature of the crime and the subsequent actions.
Right.
A psychopath might derive a sense of control or power from maintaining the farm, from playing the role of caretakers, even after committing such a horrific act.
It's almost like they were trying to erase what they had done.
Right.
To create a false reality where everything was normal.
Or perhaps it was a way of prolonging the experience
Mm-hmm.
of savoring the aftermath of their crime.
Yeah.
It's a thought that's both chilling and deeply disturbing.
Okay, let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the killer,
Right.
but what about the victims?
Yeah.
Can you paint a picture of their lives?
Sure.
What were they like as individuals?
It's important to remember that these were real people with hopes, dreams, and fears. Andreas, the patriarch, was a hard-working farmer,
Mm-hmm.
but known for his strict demeanor.
Okay.
Cecilia, his wife, was described as a kind and loving woman
Right.
devoted to her family.
And Victoria, their daughter, what do we know about her?
Victoria was a young widow
Right.
struggling to raise 2 children on her own.
Yeah.
She was described as beautiful and strong-willed, but also as someone who had faced a lot of hardship in her life.
Her relationship with Lorenz Schlittenbauer must have been a source of both comfort and conflict.
It certainly added another layer of complexity to her life.
Right.
And let's not forget the children. Cecilia, a bright and playful 7-year-old, and Joseph, a 2-year-old, caught in the middle of a complicated family dynamic.
It's heartbreaking to think about their lives being cut short so brutally.
Right.
And Maria, the maid,
Yeah.
she'd only just arrived at the farm.
It's a tragic reminder that sometimes we're simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
This entire case is a tragedy.
Yeah.
A family wiped out, a community left terrified, and a mystery that continues to baffle us a century later.
And that's what makes this story so compelling.
Right.
It's a stark reminder of the dark side of human nature and the enduring power of unsolved mysteries.
So where does that leave us? We've explored the evidence, analyzed the suspects, and delved into the psychological depths of a killer's mind. But after all this, the question remains, who committed the Hinterkaifeck murder?
Unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
Right.
Despite numerous investigations,
Yeah.
the case remains unsolved.
But that doesn't mean we should stop searching for answers, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The Hinterkaifeck murders serve as a reminder that the pursuit of truth is an ongoing process.
Right.
Every new piece of information, every fresh perspective
Yeah.
brings us closer to understanding this horrific event.
So what can we take away from this deep dive?
For me, it's a reminder that even in the darkest corners of human history, there are lessons to be learned.
Yeah.
The Hinterkaifeck murders challenge us to think critically, to question our assumptions,
Right.
and to never give up on the search for answers.
It also highlights the importance of empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
The victims were not just names on a police report.
Right.
They were real people with lives, loves, and aspirations.
And even though we may never know for certain who committed this crime,
Right.
we can honor their memory by continuing to seek justice and by striving to create a world where such tragedies are less likely to occur.
Well said.
Thank you.
For all of you listening out there, we encourage you to do your own research.
Yes.
Explore the various theories and draw your own conclusions.
Absolutely.
The Hinterkaifeck murders may be a century old,
Right.
but the mystery lives on.
It does.
And perhaps one day the truth will finally be revealed. Thanks for joining us on this chilling deep dive into the Hinterkaifeck murders.
Thanks for having me.